welcome back to another special episode of That Video Game Podcast, aka TVGP. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpeer.
Hi, can I take a nap yet?
Yep, we got a 2.5 hour nap here coming up. And the Nimp.
Just sit back and enjoy the U-log and
That's right.
Just let our velvety voices slowly caress your eardrums.
The crackling of the fire, full of eggnog.
And that one, I'll say that 100% turned Moon off.
Well, as we do every year, we are off on holiday right now, podcast vacation. We're probably still at home because, where are we gonna go? We're stuck in the internet, just like you are, right? Last week we talked about the 2023 Game of the Year stuff. If you haven't listened to that, please go do so. Go check that out. It's always a great
Some bangers
episode
on that one, let me tell you.
Oof, you don't even know. You have no idea. So we're going to wrap up. That's right. Right. We're going to wrap up 2023 here and talk about our predictions for 2024 here with our predictions episode. If this is your first predictions episode or you forgot, because current year has been a long year, am I right, guys? Let's talk about what we're going to talk about here in the predictions episode. We're going to start with our most anticipated games for 2023 that we guessed at the end of last year. We're going to cover predictions that we had for this last year when we were at the end of 2022. We're going to go through our four main categories. It's going to be Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, and then kind of general industry stuff. Talk about our 2023 predictions, and we will laugh at how wrong they all are, always. And then we will talk about what we predict for 2024. Those will probably also be wrong. Then we will talk about what games we are looking forward to in 2024. We will also crown a winner for most correctest of 2023. The Hannah took the crown again last year. And this is just kind of our points are made up sort of thing where we're awarding full or half points to people that predicted things correctly last year. And we'll bestow the crown here as we go forward. One really important disclaimer here. We are not industry insiders. We do not have any insider information. Please don't buy stocks or whatever based on these joke predictions, even if they turn out to be true. That was just an accident. Don't.
Yep.
We are podcasting professionals, but we don't work for like Circana or anything. So be
Look,
cool.
if I had any idea of what was going to happen and could invest in stocks, I would 100% not be here / be paying for everyone to be here at the same time.
We would be making many millions of dollars. Yeah. All right, let's talk about our games we were looking forward to in 2023. Moon, you started off with Dune Awakening, which thankfully I listened to that episode to find out that was the survival MMO that hasn't come out yet.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Correct. Also, patreon.com/E1M1, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Those ones are numbers. Go sign up, $5 a month, all the good stuff over there. Support the show. Thank you.
Help us be millionaires.
That's right. That's right. Tell your billionaire friends to make us millionaires. It's the trickle-down economy. That's how it works, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yes, Dune Awakening. That is the survival game that did not release this year, unfortunately.
Hopefully soon.
I'm still super pumped for it, though.
Yep.
Still can't wait for it to come out because I really want... I've been playing some scary games this year, and I really, 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 really want to walk across the desert and then suddenly get eaten. Like, that is what I want. I want that horror.
Right.
That hissing sand noise to signify my doom is what I'm looking forward to the most.
I was gonna say, what if you had to manually input the weird desert walk that you have to do?
Yeah, 100%. You're getting it. Yep.
Yeah.
Next up was Warhammer 40k Dark Tide. That was the Vermintide kind of alike game that came out pretty late.
Out very late this year on Xbox, and I still haven't played it yet because I was too busy wrapping up other things.
Yeah. The Wandering Village, which is that build a town on the back of a walking monster that still in early access?
Still early access.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Stalker 2, which has not come out yet.
Still hasn't come out yet.
World events, understandably.
Uh-huh.
Redfall. Haha.
So bad I didn't even install it.
Yeah. Everspace 2. Oh.
I installed it. I just haven't played it yet because other things have taken my priority.
It only recently came to consoles in the kind of last couple of months here.
Like last month or two, yeah.
Yeah. Starfield, of course. That was kind of the game on all of our lips last year.
Still playing it.
Yep. Exoprimal, Capcom's Monster Wave game. Dinosaur
Weirdly
Wave.
installed, weirdly not played yet.
Yeah.
That is weird. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, Exoprimal was good. Alan Wake 2, which I have not gotten to.
It has been purchased, it has been installed, it has not been played yet.
Right. You're doing your homework.
Yes, one might say I have a degree of control about the situation.
Boo! AEW Fight Forever, which actually did come out in 2023.
Did come out, and I have enjoyed all of the little time I've spent playing that game.
Yeah.
The Danhausen pack just came out. I really need to download that stuff.
There you go. Probably the spiciest one on this list, Suicide Squad. Which is
still isn't even out yet.
Still not out. Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Here's the ironic thing. I was really looking forward to that, and then when it came out, I just wasn't feeling the Assassin's Creed vibe.
Ditto.
So it's one of those things that pretty sure I could get it at any point I wanted to.
Right.
I don't have 30 hours right now to dedicate to that when I've got Baldur's Gate 3 with 160 hours waiting for me.
Right. Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Yep. Played it. Loved it.
Yep. Dead Space
last week.
Yeah. Dead Space Remake. Played it, loved it. See last
Played
week.
It, loved it. See you last week.
There you go. And your final one, Monster Hunter Rise on Xbox.
Hey, played it. Loved it. See you last week.
There you go. Nimp, you started off with One Piece Odyssey, which you said, hey, I've never watched One Piece. That looks like a good JRPG.
Yeah, and from everything I've seen, it is. I have not had a chance to play it yet.
Too many JRPGs came out this year.
Yeah.
Shockingly. Forspoken.
Did play it.
Yep. That actually came out this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Legend of Hero Trails to Azure.
Did beat it.
Yeah.
Great game.
You also had Jedi Survivor, of course.
Again, did beat it. Great game.
Legend of the Kingdom Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which we were aggressively calling Tears of the Kingdom last year, which was really great because nobody had said that word aloud. So
everyone realized Tears and Tears were spelled the same way.
Yeah, we're like, oh no, English.
I started playing it and then just kind of fell off for a little bit just because I wasn't feeling the mechanics. So,
Final Fantasy 16.
Played it and beat it. Great game.
Everspace 2.
Played it but stopped because I'm waiting for you two to decide to start playing it.
Right. Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster, which sadly did not come out this year. Legend of Hero Trails into Reverie.
Still currently playing it.
Right. Still going through there.
Yeah.
Atelier Rise of 3.
Played it, beat it, great game.
And your final one was also Monster Hunter Rise.
Played it, did not beat it yet, but love doing the co-op with everybody. So
it's a lot of game.
Can you ever really beat a Monster Hunter game?
Right.
No. I mean, it eventually just comes to a point where you just stop playing it because you think you've done enough.
Right. My list, of course, starts off with Skull and Bones, which totally came out this year, right?
Hey,
right, guys?
Good news, Boston.
Right?
We have a date again. Yeah.
That's right. We have the 15th release date for this game.
Yeah.
I said
I have it on my predictions.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got it, right? I wrote Starfield with a question mark. My direct quote was, quote, I'm not excited about it, but I'll still try it, end quote, which is pretty much my attitude towards that game in 2023, so
yeah,
true. Forspoken, which I did play and didn't finish. I really liked that, but I didn't. It didn't keep bubbling up in the list with too many other great things that came out this year.
Yeah.
Theatrhythm Final Bar Line, which, see last week, 600
I
songs,
really,
etc.
really, really, really wish that was on Xbox.
Yeah, Square, the hell. Destiny 2 Lightfall, which, boy, it was a year for Destiny, am I right? We could have a whole 2-hour episode about just the downfall of Destiny here. So, Have a Nice Death, which I think came out of early access in 2023, but I don't think it's on. At time of recording, I don't believe it's on consoles at the moment, so I haven't gotten around to playing it. But everybody that played it said it's really great, so I'm waiting for it to come out. I think it's still a roguelike, so we'll probably just play it on Wii Roguelike it. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which I already talked about. Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly, which I bought and I still haven't started yet because I haven't been in I have to be in the right mood for that game, and the mood hasn't really clicked with the game yet. But I'm looking forward to playing it. Diablo 4, which sure came out in 2023. Endless Dungeon, which I haven't played yet because it launched.
That's the new one, right?
It's the sequel to Dungeon of the Endless, which isn't confusing at all.
And are you about to say it launched broken?
Oh, it sure did. They've been doing a really good job patching it, but it had a really rough launch. Yeah, and my last two, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which got pushed out of winter 2023 and into February 2024. And then Final Fantasy 16, which I bought and still have not yet played. So, a lot of games there. Yeah. So listen at the end of the episode there for what we're looking forward to in 2024. But let's hit our 2023 predictions for Microsoft. Starting with Moon's predictions, you say they will release a minimum, and you stressed minimum, of 4 first-party games this year. Quote, this should be a gimme. They have Forza, they have Fable, they have Redfall, end quote. So, first-party games they released this year. Got it.
Redfall.
Got it.
Starfield.
Got it. Two more.
What's the fourth one? I don't...
Hi-Fi Rush and Minecraft Legends.
Oh, there we go.
So you got 5. You thought they would get to 8, but 2023 was a bit of a spicy year for Microsoft, so they were busy with acquisition stuff,
legal battles.
Yeah. Moon says your second one here. I do think we see a price increase on Game Pass this year. You were right. On July 6th, Game Pass Ultimate moved from $15 to $17. Game Pass for console moved from $10 to $11, and PC Game Pass didn't move at all. So, got a smidgen of a price increase there. And then your third one, you said, quote, this is the big question mark, end quote. I do think the merger is successful this year. The deal closed October 13th, 2023. So,
yeah.
Did well
was
this
I
year,
specific about dates, or is that just the date it actually closed?
That's just the date it closed.
Did I get the actual day and time correct?
Apollo didn't bestow you with the gift of foresight, no.
UTC 4:30 in the afternoon.
Exactly. Nimp, you said Game Pass gets bundled with another streaming service. You were sort of thinking about like PS Plus with Crunchyroll and stuff like that on Game Pass. That didn't really happen this year. They were doing a lot of the stuff that PS Plus was doing with like, oh, you get a bunch of money for World of Warships and you get a skin for this thing. They did bundle Discord Nitro a bunch in the last year. So, like, that's sort of, but they didn't do, like, 3 months of Hulu or 3 months of Discovery Plus or whatever the hell half those services are called with a plus now.
Ubisoft Plus.
Yeah, TVGP Plus. You say that Microsoft finally fixes its terrible store. Quote, make it stop freezing. That's all. End quote.
It's better. I wouldn't say
it's trending in the right direction. I think surprisingly the dashboard got way better and way more performant, and I feel like the store is due for that kind of large leap like the dashboard got. So
it still throws me off that it's got the buttons on the top now for the dashboard.
Yep.
Yep.
Third one here, Microsoft does finally get rid of Games with Gold, which they did September 1st, 2023. RIP Games with Gold.
Yep.
My predictions here were Microsoft struggles with the Activision Blizzard purchase throughout the year. Eventually the deal does go through, but only after some serious concessions are made. And I said, to whom, I'm not sure. I mean, half right. Shockingly, not surprisingly, it went through. And they didn't really have to make any serious concessions.
They had to hand over their entire streaming platform to Ubisoft in Europe, dude. That is a big concession.
I'm curious to see how that shakes out long term, because I wonder if it's one of those things of like next year Ubisoft splits it into another company and then Microsoft buys that company. They just kind of like go through the side door.
No Call of Duty on Game Pass, dude. That's a big concession too.
Yeah, that's true.
Arguably a bigger concession. I think you got this 100% right.
That's a good point. I forgot about the concessions. Yeah. I also said we finally see a Game Pass price increase this year. And then my third one was we see Microsoft purchase a smaller studio with an upcoming, likely to be a hit, live service game. If you remember at the end of 2022, Microsoft was upset that they couldn't purchase MiHoYo as Genshin Impact was looking to be a big hit, and they felt pretty sour about it kind of publicly. And I thought they were going to buy a company that was going to be the next one of those, and they didn't. So I think that might be a vertical that Microsoft is not interested in getting into, maybe at the very least because of their acquisition stuff. But we'll see what next year brings. Let's move to the community ones. Kev the Galaxy, I got my pen here ready to award points. Kev the Galaxy Bender says Game Pass on Nintendo platforms. No, there's been some talk. People have been asking Phil Spencer a lot more directly about like, hey man, when's this coming to other stuff? And he's just been like, don't worry about it. Never mind. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Game Pass television app, which I thought we were going to get this year, but then the streaming stick kind of got killed this year because they couldn't meet the kind of price demands. And then Game Pass on Steam, which not really. They're continuing to support that Xbox app they have on Windows. And it seems like it works fine on the Steam Deck, so they probably don't.
It has been improving a lot as well. Like that app has slowly but surely gotten better.
Yeah, it is much better. I use that a lot more on PC. So, Late Elf predicts continues to disregard VR equipment, explores AR as a platform for third-party content. I'll give a half for that because they definitely are not interested in VR at all. And I'm surprised they haven't been getting into more AR stuff. But it seems like they're just focused on, are the consoles in a good spot? Let's work on let's work on kind of continuing to push out the games.
I haven't even heard about those glasses that Microsoft proper was making anymore.
Oh yeah, that's been under development, I think, for a while.
For a long time. I don't remember.
But those looked cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Comes another year closer to eliminating Games with Gold as a service, pumping the attention into Game Pass releases. I mean, give them a one for that because that just killed it outright. And finally finalizes Blizzard acquisition, but only after a legal issue reduces how much of the company Microsoft can absorb. I mean, yeah. One or a half for that one. I'm not sure.
Probably half. Yeah, because they still got all of it.
Yeah. Farrah Rain says they will make massive concessions for the Active Blizzard deal. I think that's probably a half because they had to make concessions like we talked about. I'm not sure if it was like, yeah, you're going to have Activision and Blizzard, but not King. You know, to me, that's kind of a bigger concession. Game Pass will increase in price. One for that one. And then Xbox VR will be announced, which they seem to not really be interested in at all. So, Musum writes, Oculus integration becomes a thing. Still interested to see if they'll ever ride the waves of someone else, but that doesn't really seem to be Microsoft's MO of like, no, we want to do it ourselves. So, they purchased BioWare, which, with the way BioWare's going this year,
oh boy,
maybe likely, yeah, maybe that's a 2024 prediction too. And then they make a handheld Steam Deck competitor. That obviously didn't happen this year, but I'm curious to see if Microsoft will ever get into any other hardware other than controllers and consoles. Is with the popularity of Steam Deck and some of the other stuff like Asus's one is really popular. Does Microsoft try to get into that market, or is it just like, nah, we'll get the Game Pass games on there and don't worry about it?
Even if they just did like a streaming controller, like with what PlayStation was pushing out,
right,
or trying to push out, something like that, where it doesn't even have to be its own thing.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Microsoft doesn't seem to like accessories. The Kinect was like the biggest one that they had for the longest time, and even that one, they kind of shoved that through the door real quick.
And their accessibility controller is really good too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that's like been a real quiet success for them. So, Jay Vengeance says Activision takeover is complete. +1 for that one. Microsoft announced the takeover during E3 stream. I think they mentioned some of it, but the deal was definitely struggling by the time that E3 fell apart this year. So I don't think. And then World of Warcraft subs are included with Game Pass. Not yet, but I feel like that's got to be coming down the pipe, right? Or at least like, here's some
free couple-day trial.
Yeah, like monthly gold or like a free mount or something, something. Some of those benefits we talked about earlier, where it's like not streaming service, but something additional.
I don't need free WoW, thanks.
Yeah, I don't know. No one really. You need more barriers between you and an MMO. And I say you as humans. So
yes,
yeah. Please.
There's a reason I'm glad MMOs seem to be stuck on mostly PCs is the ideal place to play them.
Right.
And the fact that the most popular MMOs are still the only MMOs that today can be played.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about our predictions for 2024. Moon, what are your predictions for Microsoft?
Oh boy. So I think they are going to increase the price of Game Pass again. Because they've done a lot of buying. And even $17.99 or wherever it is for Ultimate is still a steal. Like I still feel like I'm getting away with robbery. Like I have to every time
$200 and some odd dollars a year.
It is, and it's still less than 2.5 brand new games a year.
Well, and games are now $70 a year. So like,
well, I was gonna say it kind of depends because I still think that's freaking outrageous for that.
Like, if I'm getting my value,
then
that's the thing that matters to me. And like Boston said, it's $70 a game now, and that's 2.5 a year essentially is what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And if I play 2 brand new games a year on Game Pass and feel satisfied, that doesn't even include all of the other stuff that I produce as hashtag content for the show and everything else just by playing Game Pass stuff. I'm not going to talk about My Friend Peppa Pig unless it's on Game Pass. I'm not going to talk about these kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see the marketing writing on the wall of like, with the introduction of Activision Blizzard to the Microsoft and Xbox family, the values are better than ever before, ... Now it's $3 more a month,
Yeah.
So.
And then on top of that, I do also get like a discount whenever I buy a game, as long as I'm a Game Pass Ultimate member. Like
that's true.
if I feel like buying something, I can buy it. Like Immortality left Game Pass, and I paid for it because I wanted to promote good work, just like I did with El Paso elsewhere.
Right.
So I bought it, and I bought it for like $5 off, but that's still a discount on that thing that I think is worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think they're probably going to go up again. I don't know how much, not a whole lot. You can tell my hopes are down because my prediction, I didn't even realize I made this prediction last year. I'm going with 3 first-party games from Microsoft this year. Not 5, not 8, not 7. I'm hoping for 3.
Okay.
Hoping for 3.
All right.
Fingers crossed.
All right. Is that your third prediction? I'm sorry, I was closing my blinds here.
Yeah, okay. That's my second one.
Okay.
One of them's easy. Fable. That should come out this year. I hope.
I mean, it's got to show back up at some point, right?
Yes. Here's hoping for another Wolfenstein game that Bethesda does their usual trick of announcing and then releasing immediately as well.
Right.
And I think they're done buying people for at least a few years. I don't think they do any more purchases or acquisitions. My guess is for at least 2-3 years, but definitely not next year. I think they're going to let the heat fall on this whole let's buy this thing.
We haven't bought anybody for like 6 months.
Yeah.
What are you guys? We're back on the straight and narrow. Don't even worry about it.
I don't even think they worry about heat. They just need to start recuperating some of the cost of the spending.
True. Yeah. Yeah, but that was all. They also got that for a steal. Like, let's make no bones about it. They got that.
Oh yeah, they all
for
did.
A steal.
But...
Yeah. And then 2025 they can go and buy Sega. Anyway, that is my third and final prediction for Microsoft.
All right, Nimp, what are your predictions for Microsoft in 2024?
My predictions for Microsoft is I still think they're going to do something with AR or VR. Mostly AR. Like I said, we haven't heard Microsoft proper do anything about it. And Microsoft or Xbox kind of did a little bit dabbling, because I think there was like that leak of like some sort of schematic or something last year.
That was the hard time I was having with Microsoft's predictions, is because their entire like next 2 years got leaked because of the ABK lawsuit. Yeah. It's like, here's the next controller, here's the next console, here's the next couple of games, here's this thing. It's just like, oh boy, that's everything. Okay.
But I mean, like, companies generally will, with R&D, just be like, hey, here's 2 guys in the back of this basement, see what you can do with AR, So I mean, that could have been all it really was. But I still think that there is, in gaming, there is a space for VR and AR. I just don't think anyone's really found that good capture point for everybody to start buying into it, because it's still pretty expensive. The PSVR 2 is as much as the PS5 now.
And I think a lot of 2024's and 2025's VR and AR possibilities might potentially hinge on Apple's super dumb looking VR headset ski goggles thing.
Yeah.
So like, if that does really wildly super well, then maybe the video game side of the kind of VR and AR industry looks different a year from now.
But what is it, the Quest 3 that we're on now?
Yes. Yep.
That's apparently doing super well right now, and everyone who owns one really, really likes it. So yeah, that's my first one for Microsoft. Second one is they will be pushing harder for more digital releases than physical.
Oh, okay.
Again, with the leak, we saw the little cylinder, Xbox Series X that didn't have a disk drive anymore. Yeah. So I think they're pushing towards that as a more cost-saving thing for them of, hey, here's the power. You just buy everything online now instead of on a disc.
Just get this little tube, get Game Pass, you're done.
Yep.
Yeah.
My final prediction for Xbox is that I think they're going to take a very, very hard look at their first-party 2024 releases. I don't know. I think there may be 1 or 2 of them that they're going to hang on to and let them cook a little bit longer because of things like Redfall coming out, because of Starfield being fine, but not hitting what they were expecting it to hit. You know,
right.
And especially with Halo, which came out a couple of years ago, still kind of not being that great for Halo
kind
fans.
Of floundering.
Yeah, they haven't really had a real runoff success with their first party games in the last couple of years.
Right.
So I think this year we're going to really see them hold off on, maybe it ends up being Fable. Maybe they hold off on Fable, until 2025 to really make sure that comes out looking really, really good, So
there seemed to be a lot of public frustration, especially from Phil Spencer around the Starfield stuff of like, yeah, we delayed it again, and I'm pissed. Like, it'll be great when it comes out, but I'm really frustrated about it. So,
yeah,
they haven't talked about Perfect Dark for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So they'll probably show that 3 months before it comes out, and it's coming out for real because it's done when we announced it. And it'll just come out in a couple months. Same with Fable, same with probably Forza Horizon 6, whatever they do with that. It's going to be a lot of like, yeah, it's done. It's coming out in 2 or 3 months. This is when the marketing engine starts.
Yeah.
That's what I hope they learn from the Bethesda purchase eventually is like, look, this is how Bethesda did it, and it almost always worked really well.
Yep. Yeah. Good point.
So that's it.
My predictions, I think Microsoft signs another deal for a larger publisher to release their games on Game Pass day and date. Some publisher they don't own, someone kind of like the size of Konami or Sega or something, where it's not the biggest publisher, kind of your mid-tier kind of quietly successful publisher. I think they've been doing really well with Atlas over the last year, where it's like, yeah, here's every Persona game, including the brand new remake, Game Pass day and date. I think that stuff, especially from Japanese studios, has been doing really well. I think they're going to sign something like that this year, where we're all going to go like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, you got to get Game Pass now. That sort of thing.
All the NIS games start coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, something like that. We're sort of like, oh, yeah, all right, yeah, they're now on Xbox and Game Pass.
Can't imagine playing a Disgaea game with an Xbox controller. That's just blasphemy.
That's right. But the more people that can play the games, that'd be better.
I know, for the greater good, but I mean, how far is too far?
That's right. That's right. I also say I don't think we're going to see any purchases this year as they kind of work on absorbing ABK, dealing with redundancies, dealing with getting the stuff that's in the pipeline out, getting that stuff on Game Pass, all of that. That has to be like a gargantuan amount of work. There's kind of no two ways about it. But and then I think this is the year where we see some chatter about a TV device for Game Pass again. As production pipelines clear up, as shortages clear up, as shipping stuff begins to clear up again, I think this might be the time where they get it towards that $100 mark, or they kind of bundle it with something else, or there's maybe a mass amount, enough games on Game Pass to make it kind of a better deal, even if it comes in at $130, something like that. Yeah. So I have a feeling we'll see something like that this year. Let's go on to community predictions. Pharaoh Rain says a major hardware announcement will happen. Probably safe after the leaks to think that the disc-free S will come out. But we'll see if they come out with anything else that
the cylinder, whatever.
Yeah, or even if that doesn't come out this year, might have scrapped it. She says Avowed will launch to a 90+ aggregate review scores. I keep forgetting Avowed is in development, so I feel badly for that game.
They had a beta recently too, and
oh really?
If I remember, because Pharaoh and I were talking about it a little bit ago. Pharaoh really liked playing, if I'm remembering correctly, and I may be putting words in her mouth, but I believe she had a positive view on what she had played so far.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that one will be interesting because I feel like there's such a small amount of community sentiment about that game that you can kind of have a good opportunity to put a good first impression out there. So, and then she says, "Here's my wildcard: Game Pass Ultimate will gain a bundled WoW subscription." I mean, we'll see. It seems like
really hope then.
Yeah, it seems like a kind of natural thing here. Torek00 says, a feature is announced that enables players to design unique content on PCs, then pay to implement this self-designed content as NFTs. I hope not, because it seems like NFTs are largely 6 feet under at the moment. It's also interesting because I feel like Microsoft was one of the few companies that didn't really seem interested in NFTs at all. Even Sony with their PlayStation Stars stuff was like, oh, those are NFTs, right? And then they eventually were not and still aren't, thankfully. But Microsoft seems more interested in machine learning than I don't remember what their AI platform is called. But they seem more interested in that than anything else. Efforts to promote diversity and representation in Microsoft's gaming catalog are met with fierce yet brief resistance, then quietly accepted. That seems like probably the most likely prediction out of all of these. Is sort of like, I'm playing as a woman in so-and-so. I was going to say the next Gears, but you've been doing that for the last couple games. So,
well, look at the GTA 6 release where everyone was was freaking out about a female protagonist in that,
right? Which hasn't even been announced.
Yes. One might even argue that this has already started because the new head of Xbox division, I don't know her name, unfortunately.
Oh, Sarah Bond, I think.
But she's not only a woman, but she's a woman of color, I believe. Just like double down on those.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Sadly, this will probably be accurate, which is a bummer. And the last one here: multiple studios now owned by Microsoft announce or release games that are drastic departures from their previous works. Example: studio known for family-friendly platformers makes a horror-themed roguelike.
Yep. Or a studio known for racing games releases a RPG.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, I wonder how much of this is going to be kind of a little bit of shuffling around of like, oh yeah, you've always wanted to make a Perfect Dark? Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Oh, you always want to make Fable? Yeah, we're not making one of those, so yeah, sure. Why not? Maybe you want to make this thing? Sure. Why not? I will be curious to see how much of that extends to Halo. You know, how far is too far for them to say like, all right, we're pulling the plug. We're giving this to what's the Gears of War developers coalition?
Coalition, yes.
Yeah. And they were like, hey, you're making Halo now. Good luck. So, I don't know.
God, could you imagine the rodeo sprinting in Halo?
It'd be so good. Oh, man. The Hannah closes out our predictions, community predictions here by saying Game Pass price increase. This will be very curious to see if this will happen again here. They announced the Elite Series 3 controller. That would be cool. I'm sure there are still improvements you can make on that controller. The 2 seems great, but I'm sure maybe it can be more user serviceable potentially. I'm not sure.
That was something that I was thinking of putting on my list. Didn't the Elite 2 come out early this year though, or was it late last year?
It was a 2021 thing, I think, right?
Was it a 2021? Okay. I don't remember, but I was just trying to think. It's like, it hasn't really been out there that long.
It's still new.
You know? Yeah.
And then he closes out by saying Diablo 4 on Game Pass. It's been funny to see Blizzard saying like, nope, no thanks, not happening, not anytime soon. But I feel like one Tuesday, it's just going to be like, hey, now Diablo 4 is on Game Pass. Like in the middle of May or something.
Also, at the same time, I feel like this gives Microsoft an excuse to pull the Sony trick of, no, these are premium releases.
Exactly.
Except instead of saying premium releases, this gives them the chance to say, yeah, due to legal issues, we can't.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, when the first expansion comes out for Diablo 4, it'd be like, well, that's $30. The base game's free now, though, if you have Game Pass. Get on in there. So, I don't know. Seems more likely, even though Blizzard continues to kind of be like, no, never. How could... Never. We couldn't possibly.
Yeah,
How dare
I think 1 or 2 would come out to Game Pass before 3 or 4 would.
That's true. Yeah, probably.
Well, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 is on Game Pass now, apparently. I learned that.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
I own the whole thing physically, so...
There you go. You're all good. Let's talk about Nintendo in 2023. Moon predicted Breath of the Wild 2 is released. However, it has, quote, problematic performance issues, end quote, we'll say. It had performance issues, but I don't think they were nearly as bad as we kind of all were expecting them to be.
Yeah.
It definitely had dips because it's a Switch game in 2023, but I don't think it turned out to be as horrible as we were expecting.
Especially going back and forth between the sky and the ground and all that. It wasn't flawless, but for the Switch, I mean, that was pretty good.
Yeah, you weren't like falling out of the sky and it's like, all right, here's a black screen and just a loading bar. It didn't do any of that. Nintendo will tease/announce the Switch 2. Neither of those, but boy, we have seen a lot more like insider rumors of like, oh yeah, Nintendo's been showing us that for months. Oh wait, was I supposed to say that? Like what are some of those interviews of like, oh yeah, the NG Switch. We've been developing that for like 3 months. Wait, no, take that back. That sort of like open secret sort of thing. So, and then your final one was Nintendo finally upgrades the online features of their console to 2010, and my note was if only. So pretty stable the whole year. So. Probably never. Nimpu predicted they add the handheld games to Nintendo Online. And I wrote here in February 2023, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games were added to Nintendo Switch Online. Yep. Which turned out to be pretty good, actually.
Didn't think that was going to happen.
Nope. Wouldn't have called that one. Call of Duty gets added to the Switch. This was your wild guess. This was part of some mentions during the Microsoft ABK stuff of like, maybe we'll just put Call of Duty on the Switch, when like they and Sony were like slap fighting each other, and everyone was like, no, you don't have to do that. We're good. We saw what happened on the Wii U. Like we're fine. We've got other stuff. And then you said the pipe dream never dies. They add achievements. Which, nope. Developers are doing that themselves.
Yep.
I wrote that no new Switch hardware announced, unfortunately. Got that in one. Maybe next year. Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, whatever it's called, sells well and is received well, but has serious performance issues. Both of those two first ones were right, and thankfully did not have serious performance issues. That was too bad. And I said no serious upgrades or improvements to Nintendo Switch Online. That's a service that's largely done at this point. Yeah, probably. I mean, even the number of virtual console games they've been releasing have kind of been dying down of like, here's 3 in 3 months. There have been some cool, like, unreleased, untranslated before games that are coming out, but they're not. The big ones are already out, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Pick up my pen here again. Talk about community predictions. Kev the Galaxy Badger says F-Zero gets announced. So, F-Zero 99 came out this year, but I don't think that's the spirit of the prediction. I feel like that was more like, hey, a brand new F-Zero came out. So F-Zero 99 seems really cool, but I don't think...
I think half a point. Only because an F-Zero did come out.
Sure.
So the franchise is still alive.
Right.
Barely.
Someone remembers it. We're doing it.
So here's a fun part for you. I forgot that existed, so I googled F-Zero 99 to get a vibe check on the game. One of the very first posts is, how did F-Zero 99 go from being awesome fun to impossible? Welcome to F-Zero, internet commenter. How are you doing?
That's right. Yeah. Next prediction here is new Nintendo hardware ? Nothing really this year. And then Miyamoto gets arrested for insider trading. Nope, that was someone else.
Somebody else.
Wrong studio head.
Yeah.
It's a different company head.
That was a different guy.
Did that.
Yeah. Late Elf predicts Super Nintendo World will have a delayed opening at Universal Studios Hollywood, whose extra costs will shut down development of any park product on the East Coast. I had to do some research for this one. This opened on February 17th, 2023, and largely seemed to be on schedule. There was like a preview event before that for like VIP park holders and stuff, but beyond that, it seems like it happened pretty naturally. So shockingly, that one went pretty smoothly. Also, coincidentally, it opened about a month and a half or 2 months before the movie came out and went smoothly. So weird, interesting.
Yep.
This one I'm still confused about. Here a year later, Genshin Impact will be announced for a late 2023 release. Critics will, but why, given the delay, and it will not have crossplay. Nope. I'm not sure. Maybe the Honkai Star Rail was that one, but I'm not sure. Or Zenless Zone Zero, which is their like fifth game they're supporting on the Switch. The same.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think it did. I feel like
what it's about, then.
I feel like
is it even on Xbox yet?
No.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I don't think
it's just PC,
added a new console.
PC, PS4, and PS5. I feel like that game is largely kind of done expanding to other platforms at this point. So
yeah.
His last prediction here: the Mario movie will have a T-Rex get hatted like in Super Mario Brothers Odyssey, either in the third act or a post-credit scene.
Hold on a second. Let me unplug my earphones here for a second.
I won't spoil it. Moon and I were talking in a Critical Misses production meeting that we were doing earlier today. In one of the 15 episodes we're recording today, that I have been watching this movie multiple times a day for the last couple of weeks because my kid is way into it. And neither of those things happen in this movie. So there is a post-credits scene. Because of course it's a movie that is coming out, but neither of those things happen. Pharaoh Rain says next gen Nintendo console will be announced. Shockingly, not yet, but I feel like they're gonna pull a Nintendo thing of like, we got another console. It's coming out in 4 months. Yeah. So get pre-orders now. It's ready. So, Tears of the Kingdom will not break records. I was able to find November 7th, 2023 is the most recent sales numbers that I could find. It had already sold 19.5 million units, which was on trend for Breath of the Wild, which is, I was kind of surprised about because I feel like there was a ton of huge conversation about Tears of the Kingdom when it came out, and it seemed like it did pretty well, but it seems like it's been selling rather steadily as the years gone on, so which is nice. And then Pharaoh Rain says they will announce the next Metroid Prime. If only. Did get a remake of the first one, which was nice, but sadly not.
Which I completely forgot had happened. My son and I had a conversation about that today.
Yeah, seemed cool. This was well received. Musim says no new console announcement that involves a hardware upgrade, as in there might be more switches with a different screen or more hard drive space, but they won't be 4K or anything. Actually, we didn't get either one of those this year. We didn't even get like the next step up or anything, which probably means they're kind of getting the company that loves to iterate on their consoles, especially their handhelds. That probably means that we're getting closer to another Switch, because it's not like, hey, here we go. It's got different color Joy-Cons on it. So, no new Metroids. Metroid Prime is not released. That's a big plus one. You got nothing. Goodness.
Yep.
The new Zelda has technical issues due to the hardware capability of the Switch, such as screen tearing, noticeable frame drops, and long load times. I'm going to give him a point for that because I feel like those three were the technical issues. I don't think they were, as we've been talking, I love looking back on these predictions of everybody's like, this game seems too big for the Switch. I don't know what's going to happen. But shockingly, they seem to have optimized a lot of it. But those were the three things, I think, where it's like, boy, this load time is taking a little bit of a long time as I'm fast traveling around this world. Boy. So. And J Vengeance just has one prediction. Says Metroid Prime 4 to be delayed. We got even worse news. They didn't talk about it at all the whole year.
Yep.
Like there wasn't even like, hey, what's going on with Metroid Prime? It's just like no comment.
So delayed it never got brought up.
Yeah, like no comment whatsoever. So that seems to be even worse. So, all right. Let's talk about our Nintendo 2024 predictions. Moon, let's start with your predictions.
So all of my predictions rest like an uneasy building on the foundation of my first prediction.
Okay.
Nice.
My first prediction is the Switch 2, whatever it's called, is announced.
Okay.
And it is releasing in 2025. So that's prediction number 1.
Gotcha.
My second prediction in this volatile house of cards I am building is there is a new third-person 3D full Mario game at launch.
Oh, okay. So like Mario Odyssey kind of was, where it's like, here's a brand new Mario thing.
Yeah, exactly. So
Gotcha.
Mario Odyssey, but for the Switch 2. So Mario Odyssey 2, whatever it's called.
Right.
Mario Galaxy 3, I'm just saying. It's
please.
right there.
Yep.
And my final prediction for Nintendo in this Leaning Tower of Pisa about to fall over is probably the riskiest and spiciest take.
Oh, okay.
It has full backwards compatibility. Every single one of your online purchases move forwards with the console.
Okay.
Which is the most non-Nintendo thing that I have probably ever said.
Right. And how much have they listened over the last couple of years of like, hey, this stuff needs to come over for real this time. Like this is the breaking point for potentially a huge number of customers. How much are you going to listen and figure it out this time? All right. I like it. All right, Nimp, what are your predictions for 2024?
All right. My Nintendo prediction is that this is a two-parter.
Okay.
The Switch 2, whatever it is being called, Dimmer Switch, whatever, is being announced 2024.
Mm-hmm.
The caveat is because every console that Nintendo ever releases has to have some sort of gimmick.
Yes.
All right. The gimmick is there will be a docked-only version or a handheld-only version.
It's not like a hybrid this time? Okay. All right.
My next one, and this is starting to feel like a pipe dream. Metroid Prime 4 gets a release date.
Yep. What's so funny is we're not even asking for a release. We're just asking for a date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just something besides
a year?
The title card.
Can I get that?
Yeah.
This decade? What are we looking at here?
And my final one, which I think is just going to stay on the list, because I feel like if I ever take it off, that's when it's going to happen. And that's Nintendo giving achievements to video games.
That's right. You got to keep the hope alive, man. The moment you give up is when it happens.
Yep.
My predictions, I think, as we were just talking about with all the chatter around, Nintendo showing off a new Switch, I think we see an announcement this year and it's released by the end of the year. I think they want to get this in stores for the holiday season this year and try to get it out to kind of be the big holiday seller. If that doesn't happen, then they'll probably push it to like March 2025 or something. But I have a feeling in my prediction bones that this will be a 2024 release. I think Tears of the Kingdom gets a DLC announcement, but it's nothing big. It's kind of like those Breath of the Wild DLC packs where it's like, the DLC is coming. Yeah, it's a motorcycle. Okay, cool.
Or that
and it's like,
or whatever.
Yeah, we're putting more story stuff in here. Oh, it's about the traveling band of musicians. It's not even about Link. Okay, like it's not really the big DLC you want. It's sort of like, oh, here's master mode. Oh, everything's just reversed. Okay, cool. So, and then my third prediction is kind of a non-prediction. I just don't think really anything happens this year leading up to the next Switch's launch. Like, we've got a couple of releases that are planned for through like March or April. Like, there's that cool Princess Peach game with the costumes. But beyond that, there's kind of not a whole lot else. I think you save all of that stuff for the next Switch. And you kind of just push all that stuff forward. So let's talk about community predictions here. Pharaoh Rain says Switch successor will be announced on a weekday and launch less than 7 months later. That very much seems like a thing that Nintendo would do. Just like, oh, by the way, we put up a new trailer on our YouTube channel. You should check it out. It's the next Switch. It's just like, wait, sorry, what? It's like 3:15 a.m. on a Tuesday.
There's like a Japanese announcement on a Sunday night, and then a Wednesday morning someone walks into a Target and they're just there.
Yes. Hey, what's this thing? Yeah.
No, you know they're going to have the click sounds, and it's going to be 2 clicks instead of 1.
That's right. That's right. Guess what it is? Zelda movie cast will be announced with a Star Wars style list, a bunch of little-known up-and-coming actors. I could see that potentially happening with it being live action and with the let's say pushback to the voice cast on the Mario movie, but we'll find out soon, I think. Nintendo Online will add new features and have a price increase. That's interesting. That was a big prediction of most of us for Microsoft too, but I feel like the price for Nintendo Switch Online keeps kind of slowly creeping up, especially with them being like, well, we got that base here, that's about fine, but look at this other one. Look at all the new features. It's way more expensive. How's that sound?
I was going to say, because the base tier is still 20, but the next tier is 40 or 50?
It's quite a bit more expensive, if I remember. Yeah. So... Toric00 says a new first-party exercise accessory is announced to a strong positive reception. I guess we haven't really had anything since Ring Fit. That did really well. It didn't catch on quickly at all, but...
Well, part of that was because it came out during COVID and was pretty much immediately sold out everywhere for the longest time, too, so...
Yeah, as soon as people started, like, regular people started reporting that hey, this is actually a good workout for real, I think people started being like, oh yeah, not only can I fight a dragon while I'm doing an exercise, but I can exercise in my house. And it's not huge. So Nintendo continues to explore the new 3.5D applications of classic properties that move to 3D in the vein of Metroid Dread. Metroid Dread seemed to do pretty well for them, so I wonder how much they encourage developers to say, like, let's do this kind of 2.5D quasi 3D thing that you're doing to older properties here. That'd be interesting. It seems like Zelda is going in the kind of open world direction, sort of continually. So curious to see if they'll do anything else with that, like a brand new Kid Icarus, right? That popular one.
Yeah.
Or Capcom just randomly releases a new Zelda game that's 2D.
Right. Yep.
True. Yeah, they're also going to have to release a new controller with Kid Icarus. You know that.
That's true. And a new dock and a extra long stylus. The whole thing. Yeah. Third prediction here. Commercials for the Switch 2 place an emphasis on Street Pass-esque rapid connectivity with a release game that centers around quick 5-minute matches. That's a great prediction. I really love the specificity of that one, of just like going back to Street Pass, baby. Are you ready? Ready to meet some friends? Battle your Nintendo characters out in the real world? You guys like Pokemon Go? We're doing it in the console. That sort of thing. So
yeah, it does seem really weird they haven't done anything like that. Street passing was stupid popular with the 3DS.
It really was. Like it was very,
just filling
very
out
popular.
that map of like random people that you street passed with around the world was pretty cool.
It was great for what was Dragon Quest 9 was the one that was on 3DS where you could share your dungeon maps on Street Pass.
Yeah.
That was cool. I did a bunch of that. That was fun.
It's just the fun little game that you got for collecting people's Miis.
Yeah.
And you were going through like dungeon crawling and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was cool. Do more of that.
Or the slot car racing and
yeah. The Hannah predicts Switch successor announced or leaked in great detail. I like the kind of the safety net there of like, well, you didn't announce it, but somebody got their hands on it and just put out a 2-hour video of them playing a bunch of stuff. So, Super Mario movie sequel officially announced. Yeah, I wonder if that's going to happen this year or if they're going to wait one more year to say, yeah, it's happening and it's coming out at the end of 2025. I wonder how much the lead up is going to be on that.
The movie just came out to Disney Plus too.
Oh, okay.
So that should maybe increase the audience view of people who haven't seen it in theaters yet.
Yeah, that's true. And then his final prediction here is going to be Switch successor will be a Switch/Wii U hybrid. Ooh. All right. Okay. Interesting. All right, let's get to our Sony predictions of 2023. Moon, you predicted PSVR 2 comes out to mixed/low feedback. Quote, they've only got 2 games for this. All the rest are upscaled PSVR games, end quote. It performs below expectations. You certainly got that part about 2 games for this. The rest are upscaled. Because we had the Horizon game, and that was kind of it. The Supermassive put out another one of their like on-rail shooting gallery horror things, which seemed to be less well received than the previous one. I'm
just saying, I'm spot on.
Yeah, I was curious to see how it performed. Sony said the PSVR 2 sold 450,000 units in the first 6 weeks, which sort of outpaced PSVR 1, but have been quiet about sales numbers since then. So read from that what you will, but it seems to have done pretty well, but there doesn't seem to be a second wave of games that people need to pick up and get.
Nope.
Okay. Moon says we get 2 Sony apologies this year. This was my most fun Google search for this whole thing. You said, quote, I'm sure one of them are related to VR. Shockingly, 0 this year. Googling Sony apology 2023 sure turned up a lot of, hey, PlayStation got hacked in like 2011 or something. And there was some stuff from 2005. But yeah, we didn't really get like, hey, sorry if your face burns from VR 2. Whoops, we had to recall all of them. It wasn't really anything like that this year. So,
yeah. Good
job, Sony. You made it. Actually, we probably have a couple weeks.
Change.
I shouldn't jinx it, but like, you're doing it. And then your last, your slam dunk prediction here: PS Plus tiers continue to be confusing. My note here is, yup. Just confusing overall. Nip, you say Sony will allow you to have themes/wallpapers again on the PS5. Shockingly, no. Nope. They don't. They seem to really love that like full screen splash image thing that gets updated every time the game gets a new season or whatever. I seem to really like that and not interested in replacing that.
Which is really, really weird considering how many games last gen gave you like themes and wallpapers. And
you pre-ordered and here's a wallpaper. Here you go.
Yeah.
Still selling avatars though. It's just still really weird.
Yep.
They will add folders.
Nope.
Don't seem to want to do that either. You can pin stuff to your home now, but only like 6 or 8 things.
Yeah.
They don't seem to care about that right now. So, and then you said PSVR 2 will do shockingly well. I think it's done well. I don't think it was a runaway success, but I don't know if that was gonna happen, especially with the number of games they had. So.
Yeah.
My predictions are PSVR 2 is technically impressive, but the cost prevents most people from buying it. It sells okay.
Correct, I would say.
Yeah, it seems like it's very technically impressive, and especially the controllers work really well. But at least in the States, is $50 more than the console itself. And
just the reason why I don't have one.
Yeah, it's so much money. Yeah.
And you need both, because why not?
Right. My next prediction, we start to see the fruits of Sony's Bungie purchase and a serious focus on live service games from first and second party studios. For a while, yeah, and then some stuff happened at the end of 2023. That's probably not going to happen anymore, so...
Yeah.
Whoops-a-doodle. And then I have a big whiff here. I don't think that a new version /slim/etc. of the PS5 will be announced, but maybe rumored. It was announced and came out. So it was a big old whiff on that one. So community predictions here. Kev the Galaxy Bender. This was one out of left field. Jim Ryan resigns. +1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he announced his resignation. He will be leaving March 2024. So there's still a chance that he's not going to, but in his kind of departure letter was sort of like, hey man, I've been with Sony for like 30 years. I want to go spend some time with my family. You know, I'm like, I don't even live in the States and I'm working here all the time. I had to change something. So good for him. Ratchet and Clank for PC. That's a +1. That was released on September 25th, 2023.
Yep.
Apparently, hey, if you want to push your video card, that is definitely one to play. And then gets bought out by Disney. Shockingly, Disney, I don't think, did a lot of acquisitions this year either. So, we'll see. Maybe next year.
I still don't think Disney takes video games seriously at all at this point, still.
No, not really.
They keep selling the Star Wars franchise to companies who have exclusive rights on it, or they used to at least.
Although, you guys want to know, so I don't remember if I brought this up to you guys or not, but when we went on our Disney cruise, they still had working stalls for Disney Infinity.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah. So you can sit there and play and move them and stuff.
Although Dreamlight Valley continues to print money for them, so maybe that's where they're focusing on.
Maybe.
Late Elf says the PS5 Slim will not launch in 2023 due to material shortages, but they'll talk it up until October. I also thought that wasn't going to happen. Sony will continue to issue inflammatory complaints about Microsoft/Call of Duty before quietly submitting to a net benefit agreement with Microsoft, complaining the entire time.
Yeah.
How did you get that one on the nose?
That is accurate.
That is
like a 2-pointer right there.
Yeah, if I could give more, that was, you have the gift of foresight for something real, because that is exactly what happened. The whole year was just them just grousing and complaining the entire time. So good. And then PS Plus continues to improve its game offerings, but still doesn't quite reach Game Pass level in 2023. It definitely didn't reach the level of Game Pass, and it seemed largely kind of steady the whole year, I think. I don't think it necessarily really added a ton of new stuff. They weren't even really focusing on the streaming stuff this year either. They just kind of were keeping the bus on the road the whole year, I think. So, Fayror says PSVR 2 will fall flat. I think it did better than falling flat. I think it certainly did better than I was expecting it to do. PS5 prices will go up in the US. So I'm gonna give this one a 1, because this happened in the most like corporate capitalism way that you can, where they announced the PS5 Slim, and the one with a disc drive was the same price, but the one without the disc drive was $50 more than the previous fat version of the console without a disc drive. So
yep.
it like, sure. Sony was saying like, no, it didn't get, like, we didn't raise the price of the PS5. And it's like, yeah, but you still did at the end. People are still paying $50 more for something. Yeah, for less. So like, you still did.
Well, who was it? Was it Microsoft or Sony that they were talking about how they did increase their prices in Europe, and it wasn't going to happen in America?
That was both of them, I think.
Was it both of them? Okay.
Yeah.
And then
they
kind of
they adjusted prices up, kind of in everywhere else in the world this year, which is pretty rough. Those consoles are already really expensive, and raising the price a couple of years after release sucks. To put it pretty bluntly. And last prediction here, they will acquire Square Enix, which not yet. I mean, I don't.
Nope.
I feel like they always have a check that they haven't written the date on. Where it's just like, you guys ready? I can just put the date right in here and sign it. No, okay. I'll see you in a couple months.
I think if Microsoft ever looks at Square that way, I think that's going to be a knockout, drag-out fight between Sony and Microsoft.
That will probably be the time where Sony eventually like adds another 0 to that check, where it's like, is this we can't let Microsoft have this company. You ready for us now? Huh? This number good? How about another 0? So yeah, I don't know. Musim predicts PS5 Slim announced and released. Yep. Got +1 there.
Uh-huh. Well, can we really say slim? I mean,
yeah, it's a slim.
It's
smaller.
Slimish. Slimmer. Yeah. I wish it was
if I wish it was
5
small. Pounds, that doesn't make me slim. That makes me slimmer.
That's right. 4th tier of PS Plus announced. So far, they have resisted adding some sort of wacky platinum tier or something, but anytime now they could just, put out a blog post of like, here we go.
Yeah, it's got not Microsoft.
More of something. Who knows? Sony will finally meet console demand for PS5s and keep stores stocked, resulting in new games finally not being developed for PS4 by the end of the year. I think that's probably a +1, because both of the series consoles and PS5 are in stores regularly now. Like, you can just go walk into a Target or something and get it. I think we are seeing a considerable number of games that maybe would have continued to cross the generations. Like, even the Horizon Forbidden West DLC didn't come out on the PS4, even though the base game did. So even in the middle of the game,
same thing with Cyberpunk too. They're what do they call it? Liberty, whatever their new DLC thing is. That's only on PlayStation 5 and not on PlayStation 4 now.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay, Phantom Liberty, is that the name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's.
But to argue that, he can still have the point. I'm just being a D about this. I can still regularly go and buy JRPGs for either the PlayStation 4 or PS5. And I don't think it makes a difference which one I buy them for. So.
Oh, sure, that's true. Jay Vengeance says Sony buys another big studio in response to the potential Microsoft/Activision takeover. I spent a lot of. What's that?
Bungie are big.
Yeah, Bungie was kind of their last one. This year, and I kind of looked at I did a bunch of searching this year, or in prep for this, to figure out when, if they were buying anything else. Like the last really big company they bought was an audio codec developer for the Bluetooth headphones they're doing. So like, it's interesting to see they haven't really purchased anything this year. Actually, they bought Bungie in 2022, which I forgot about. They bought that in July 2022. I thought that was this year.
Okay.
Yeah, so shockingly, nothing. I think they left all of that to Microsoft. They didn't even want to like slip one under the radar of like, it's not $69 billion, so like we'll take this and we'll leave. Don't even worry about it. You don't even look at it. It's all good. So
I wonder if PlayStation was trying to do the split. The whole legal fight was like, okay, you guys can have all of this, but we are going to buy this from you guys or some crap like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I wonder if they were holding up to something like that.
Give us this for like $1. How about we take this studio for $1? No big deal. Yeah. All right, 2024 predictions for Sony. Moon, let's start with you.
Oh boy. Here we go. This is my joke prediction.
Okay.
The Last of Us is remastered again.
The Last of Us Part 1 is remastered again?
Uh-huh. I don't know any other franchise that has 2 games and 5 releases of those 2 games. I just don't.
Yep.
So I'm going with Last of Us is re-released again for the 6th time. I don't care which one, first or the second one. Take your pick.
Probably.
Or they split them up again. So
that's right. Now
do it in 6K. Now it's 5. Yeah, 3 or 5 parts.
Yeah. The Last of Us Part 1, Part 1. That's right. I'm thinking here. They tease but don't announce anything for a new console. So they hint at the next generation, but they don't outright state anything. No specs, no nothing like that is talked about. They just tickle your gills with the news of a new potential console in the pipeline.
Right.
And they announce or release, I'm hedging my bets here, 3 games as a service games. So this does not include anything already released now. Doesn't include anything already announced now, but they announce or release 3 live service games, essentially.
Okay.
So the Bungie input coming in and being released kind of thing.
Right.
However, any that are released are made of Teflon.
Okay.
And what I mean when I say that is I mean they don't stick. Mm-hmm. So they very quickly circle the drain.
There's a lot of news articles about like this game came out 3 months ago and it's already shutting down, that sort of thing.
2 concurrent players on Steam. That kind of
That's
stuff.
right. We interviewed the 2 people left playing Sony's latest game.
It's Patrick Klepek at his finest, essentially.
Exactly. All right.
Yes, they're my predictions.
All right, Nimp, what are your predictions?
I have that PlayStation does not change the tiers at all for PlayStation Plus. They just increase the price.
Okay.
Next, I have that they are also pushing way harder for digital. See the new modular disk drive on the new slim PlayStation 5.
Right.
And that, like I said, that was the one that I kind of borrowed from Xbox too, because I kind of see them both pushing in that direction.
Right.
With Nintendo just not caring one way or the other.
Nintendo being like, cartridges, baby, let's go.
Yeah. Just give us your money, whatever.
Right.
And then my last kind of jokey, kind of not, is that their streaming handheld like really takes off. Like
the Portal.
It kind of turns into like the Steam Deck where it's like, hey, did you know you could sideload this on here and it just opens up a whole brand new world into PlayStation?
Yeah, like once people start hacking it, then because it's just running Android, so like once people crack that open, then
and that's kind of been the history of PlayStation handhelds,
right?
The PSP, the Vita, where it's like they're fine, but if you did this thing,
but what if they could emulate
better.
every PS1 game on it? How does that sound?
Yeah. Did you know you just have to swap out the battery in a certain way? And
yeah, exactly. Yeah. My prediction is Sony makes one final push into PSVR 2 by putting out one more big budget title. I'm thinking like the Horizon Call of the Mountain or whatever it is game that they put out, like another kind of big first party thing. It really doesn't move the needle, so they just kind of leave it up to third parties for the rest of the PSVR 2's life. I think they try one more big budget thing and something will be fine about it, but it won't be the like need to have title. So they'll just be like, well, we tried, well, I'm leaving, you know, that sort of thing.
Like everything else that they do that's on a main console.
Exactly. I think we see one larger budget high profile game hit PS Plus day and date this year, kind of like you would see on Game Pass, but only one of them happens this year. It's not a regular kind of sea change for them of like, now everything's coming out. It'll be one of those big games where you're like, oh wow, all right, yeah, I was gonna buy that anyway, but sure, I'll download that on PS Plus. Kind of like how Stray and Bug Snacks did, where it's just like, oh yeah, I was gonna buy that anyway, but sure, yeah, put that on PS Plus, great.
They just have a mystery day one release locked and loaded for some time in 2024.
Yeah, but then sadly, cool. the news stories would be like, hey, are you going to do more of that? And it'd be like, no. Like, okay, fair enough. That would be nice.
Oh wait, that released at the same time? What?
Right? No. Oh, we pushed the button too early. All right. I also have a Portal prediction. I say that Sony fails to support the Portal. I think firmware or connection issues persist, which kind of leads the device to get a bad reputation and is kind of quietly to stop production in a couple of months. I think feedback so far on this thing has been it's cool and it works really well if your home network is up to snuff.
Yeah.
But there's an education problem that Sony hasn't really taken on, where people are like, I ran a speed test thing and it says I have gigabit internet and it's still slow. And it's like, yeah, but it doesn't use the internet. It uses your home wireless, which probably hasn't been updated in a while because usually you don't need to. So there's all these hurdles to get over. Yeah. And I think once someone buys it and is like, oh, I have to buy like a new router and a new access point and this and this and this. And it's like, I'm just returning it. I will never buy another one of these. And I think that reputation kind of catches up to it after a while. And it becomes this thing of like, don't even bother. You know, someone opened a thread on a subreddit and it's like 30 people are like, don't even bother. It doesn't even work. So
yeah,
I think unfortunately that will be, but hopefully someone cracks it before then so I can get it for cheap.
I was going to say, it's like once it gets cracked, that's when the prices go back up on the secondhand market.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Community predictions. Pharaoh Rain says Rise of the Ronin will be the smash hit of 2024 for Sony. That isn't like Avowed. That's another game I totally forgot about.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I mean, we need more kind of big budget titles like that aren't, you know, God of War or Horizon or stuff. So we'll see. Sony will delay or cancel at least 3 games. This one's really interesting because I feel like Sony has been pretty consistent with their releases over the last at least 2 years, as Microsoft has kind of struggled with their release consistency. I think Microsoft or Sony is like, yeah, we got a new Horizon, we got a Spider-Man, we got a God of War, we got this. You know, they're coming out with at least a couple of big budget kind of tentpole titles every year. You sort of have to wonder if they're going to have a year where they have a lighter release schedule or things just go wrong for a bunch of games kind of at the end. So we'll see. And then the announcement of the new CEO of SIE will lead to the video games media wondering where Sony will be heading. That's a good point, because Jim Ryan's thing over the last couple of years has seemed to be, all right, we're going to put gonna push for a lot of live service games. Like we're gonna have these games last longer, battle passes, MTX, all that stuff. They've pulled back on that in the last couple of months for fairly obvious Bungie reasons, though also Naughty Dog reasons. But, you know, there's always, when a new CEO comes in, they always kind of have to put their stamp on, this is the thing I want to push us towards. And I wonder what that is going to be. It has to be something bad, because Sony's been puttering along happily for a while, so I feel like Sony's karma has to catch up to them at some point. So, I don't know. We'll see. Torque00 says, Horizon sequel marketing heavily emphasizes Lance Reddick footage and likeness. I mean, how do I talk about the ending of Forbidden West without spoiling it? But yeah, probably. Unless they kind of...
There are reasons, yeah.
Yeah, unless they kind of rewrite some of the ending of that game, which I think would be kind of understandable with his unfortunate, untimely passing. But, you know, that's going to be a real tough one to kind of get around, since he was very important to the story of that franchise. Existing Sony properties play it safe with largely samey gameplay and incremental improvements. One of these improvements proves wildly popular and is copied by the year's end. I think that's probably pretty safe. I feel like the strength and weakness of a lot of Sony's first and second party stuff is like, it's new God of War, you know how it plays. There's a new Spider-Man, guess what? It's the same. There's a new Horizon, guess what again? You know, it's kind of the expected thing out of it. But it'd be nice if they had their own kind of nemesis system type of thing, which is like, oh, yeah, okay, cool, sure, yeah. Everyone's going to do this now. But we'll see if that comes out of Sony.
Yeah, because I wonder how the Wolverine game is going to play.
Right, I forgot about that. Maybe that's their opportunity of, like...
This is the thing that they make a brand new thing, and that's when everyone's like, man, that's actually really good.
We're going to fight twice the number of helicopters this time. It's like, ooh, all right. 2024, year of the helicopter. Here we go. The Hannah predicts their relationship with Bungie will change significantly. I mean...
It already kind of is now.
Goes without saying at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they have been bringing out a clause in their contract that's like, hey man, if the next expansion doesn't perform, we just dissolve the board and take control of the company. So, no pressure. So, 2024 is going to be a kind of spicy time. So, they will continue to turn away from their live service plans. I feel like the ship is turning away from live service at this point, because Bungie is in a rough spot. Naughty Dog continues to not ship their multiplayer. Not Left 4 Dead. I do that every time. Their Last of Us multiplayer thing, and it's like the thing they refuse to talk about consistently, of just... Oh, yeah, don't worry about that, little guy. Ooh, anyway, look over there. You know, that sort of thing. And we haven't really heard... Sony for a while was like, yeah, every studio is working on a live service thing. And it seems like, how's that going? And they're like, shut up. Don't ask. So, who knows? And then he writes, PS Vita 2, baby, with a bunch of cross-finger emojis. Just wait for someone to hack the portal. Then exactly. You get your Vita there. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about our predictions for the general industry of 2023. Moon opened with Skull and Bones is delayed. I feel like that's your center square of the bingo. Yeah. I'll just copy and paste that here for 2024. Generally, the industry continues its growth trend, though it's down compared to the past 2 years. Whoops, we broke another record. So it is up past the last 2 years, which I think your reasoning last year was sound, which is as the pandemic...
It was a return from the pandemic, yeah.
Yeah, like as the pandemic lessens, the industry might weaken over time too, because people are kind of out and about and doing stuff. But nope, we hit some records again. So, and then less of a prediction and more of a remit. More unions, please. Which,
yep,
we have seen more unions.
Still not enough.
Yeah, and
they're getting there.
Not, I think, as fast as we were expecting them to be, but with the unfortunate meteoric rise of layoffs across the industry this year, I feel like that is being pushed faster and faster across even larger organizations.
I did see that Witcher 3 devs, CD Projekt Red, recognized the Polish game workers union recently, which is
that's great,
really good moment.
Yeah, that's really great. I hadn't seen that. Nimp, you predicted there will be some pretty major layoffs in the industry. ... Which late 2023. That's putting it mildly. And then ... So they can buy more studios, which, yeah, there were two between Microsoft and Embracer. Yeah, there was a lot of that this year. And then you said, you want it, I want it, 3D's coming back, baby. Which, no.
I was gonna say, I don't even think I saw 3D TVs anywhere right now.
No.
I don't even think you can buy one anymore.
I ran across a thread. I don't remember if it was on Resetera or Reddit the other day, of a bunch of people saying like, hey, we need to be prepared for our beloved 3D TVs to die. We need to start figuring out how to repair these things and stuff. And so many people were just like, let it go, bro. It's okay. I know you love it. The tech was cool. The movies still look cool. Just let it go. It's okay.
Yeah.
It'll get a VR headset or something. It'll be fine.
Well, so I remember playing one of the Gears of War games in 3D at a buddy's house, and that was cool.
Yeah.
But it's not something I would pay what they were asking for to be able to do that. So
yeah. I predicted I'm going to be hopeful and say that the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters come out to consoles. Yes. Not Xbox, though, because apparently Square Enix is allergic to green or something. I'm not entirely sure, but, or allergic to money, I guess. Still don't understand it, but that's Square Enix, I guess. Embracer Group's continued growth starts to earn them regulatory interest. Got pretty close, almost taking $2 billion from Saudi Arabia, but that fell through, which killed the industry. So, thanks. Yep. I guess we were damned if we did, damned if we didn't, I guess, on that one, which sucks. I wrote a lot of notes for this. This year we see a major online game / community implode. I said parenthetically, something like Roblox gets shut down out of nowhere or Twitch disappears overnight. We didn't see anything big like that, like one of the three, like Facebook didn't disappear or anything like that. The less we say about Twitter overall, the better. That's not really a video game thing, though. I did write down 9 really quick ones, though, because when I was looking at this, I thought, oh yeah, there was a lot of weird things that got shut down this year, like Only Up is delisted during the height of its popularity. You guys remember that? For like 2 weeks, it was the biggest thing on the face of the planet, and then its developer was like, no, he like pulled a Flappy Bird and was just like, no, I'm not, no thanks, it's gone. Blaseball shut down out of nowhere. Just one day they were like, hey, the season ended, also the game too. We can't afford to keep running it. I was like, oh, that sucks. Blaseball was cool. Dreams was taken offline, which I totally forgot about. Like, you can still play it offline and like make your own stuff and share to some degree, but not in the same way that you were able to before. Babylon's Fall was shut down only after like 3 or 4 months of being in development. Remember the Platinum Games multiplayer live service thing that was bad, to put it kindly. Final Fantasy VII, the first soldier was shut down after only like 3 or 4 months. Too. That was their third-person shooter that they came out with, and everyone was like, it's actually pretty good. It needs to come to PC, and they're like, how about we just shut it down? It's like, wait, what? wait, sorry, what? Stadia was taken offline this year, which is the thing I totally forgot about because it was Stadia. So that was weird. Rumbleverse got shut down this year. That and that dodgeball game that EA put out kind of got taken off at the same time. Though the dodgeball game kind of morphed into something offline that seems to be doing okay, but Rumbleverse was just, that's a bummer. That was a cool game that needed someone to support it, and it never got there.
Yeah.
Wii U and 3DS online services and storefronts were shut down this year. I saved the biggest for the last of just, hey, middle fingers, we're out. So, peace. None of those were like in the spirit of something major shutting down, but when I was researching that, I was just like, wow, that's a lot of stuff. Sort of mid-size and large-size stuff that got shut down. So, wild. All right, I got my pen again. Community, Kev the Big Galaxy Bender says Bobby Kotick, quote-unquote, resigns after the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal.
Roll them dice again, buddy.
Yeah, so I'm going to give this one a half a point because both Microsoft and ABK have said that he's going to resign in December 2023. We haven't heard anything since, and it's been a while, so maybe. And his golden parachute isn't going to launch him into the sun, unfortunately. It will just land him safely, probably in a governmental organization, unfortunately.
It's a golden parachute, not a golden cannon.
Right. So it still might not happen, but we record these. We don't record these in January, so we can't entirely tell.
But I mean, we're pretty far into December, and we still haven't heard anything. So
yeah, hopefully he goes for like holiday break and then doesn't come back.
Yeah.
We're finally visited by other life outside our galaxy. Sadly, no.
Well, hang on there. Because the United States government did release their reports about UFOs.
No, move on.
That's true.
Move on.
They have done that again, which you make your own choice on what that is, but I don't.
Pretty much meant with nobody cares. We need other things right now.
That's right. I need health care. Shut up. And then third one is Twitter dies, and I wrote not yet, but
it's working on it.
Pretty close. Yeah, it's missing a couple of legs, so I don't know, man.
Advertisers seem to not like being on there anymore.
Yeah, probably because of all the Nazis. Late Elf predicts return of E3-ish events, but mostly driven by marketing budgets than real industry interest. You know what I forgot this year? E3 was canceled 2 weeks before it happened. Yeah, you guys remember that?
I do.
Yeah, I didn't remember that at all.
And then they announced that they're going to try and be back next year, and the people, Fun Pop or whatever it is, who they got to try and plan it.
Pop, yep.
Yeah,
they said they want nothing to do with it, so they're done as well.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you guys are going to run that again? Because we're not doing that. Or you guys, all right, good luck, I guess. So
remember hearing about a lot of businesses and
we are canceling our work with the E3 people.
A lot of people were trying to get refunds.
Yep.
Not just for E3 itself, but like hotels and vehicle reservations and stuff.
Yeah, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't live here anymore. Bye."
Yeah.
So, Nintendo will continue to support more "quote-unquote" adult games on Switch, i.e., Warhammer 40K Bolt Gun, embracing an older crowd. I think they kind of kept their SOP this year of just we're not going to deny anything. Like the number of hentai puzzle games that are still on the Switch store is ridiculously high. But I don't think they've gone out of their way to court that stuff. Like in the Nintendo Direct, we don't see a lot of like, here's the M-rated section. You know, like none of that stuff. It's just sort of like, you can get an Assassin's Creed game on the Switch. Moving on. So it'll be interesting to see if Nintendo ever does that, because they're kind of, it seems like the way they're going to operate is, as long as it's not really bad, you can put it on the store, but we're really not going to feature it at all. So,
well, to be honest, Nintendo isn't the company that I turn to for that kind of stuff anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So they kind of just put themselves to a point where it's like, teen and below is what I look for, and then in a Nintendo product.
Yeah, exactly. More creepy walking simulators will come to market because spooky time is the right time. I don't think we saw a lot of spooky walking. Did we see a lot of walking simulator kind of modern point and click adventure games this year? I don't think so. I think they kind of took the year off.
Talos Principle 2 come out this year?
It did, but that's like a puzzle game.
Yeah, that's like
the closest thing that I could get to.
Yeah, that's like a robots questioning what a soul is puzzle game.
I mean, that sounds like Myst to me.
That's less FMV books though, sadly. Yeah. Pharaoh Reigns.
A cursory search for 2023 walking simulators basically just returns the best of the past few years. It's the roguelike problem we have.
Yeah, if anyone doesn't listen to We Roguelike It, Moon and I always have the hardest time finding new games because we're like, all right, the best roguelikes of December 2023, and they're like Splunky, Slay the Spire, The Binding of Isaac,
Dead Cells,
Spelunky 2, Dead Cells. And it's like, no, shut up. So, best walking simulators, Oxenfree. You know, it's just like, no, it's just, you've destroyed the internet. Pharaoh Reigns predicts Skull and Bones will be delayed again. +1. Supergiant will launch another smash hit. I think early access for Hades 2 was supposed to come out this year, but it got the final date for early access is Q2 2024. I think originally they were shooting for like Q4 of 2023, and I think they were just like, hey man, we're still working on it. Like we just need a little bit more time to keep working. And Embracer Group will close at least 3 studios and acquire 5. Like we talked about earlier, Embracer Group failed to secure a $2 billion deal in June, which led to a total of over 1,000 employees from Embracer Group and owned studios being let go, with Embracer Group saying, we're going to keep doing more. So they only laid off 10% of all of the people that got laid off in the industry this year. Woof.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know what the point value for that is other than, boy, that's a bummer.
Yeah, that was just one company. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even Unity now, because of their big debacle, I think they laid off.
They did, yeah.
20% or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Bummer. Musin predicts Naughty Dog does not make a new franchise. Uncharted 5 and Last of Us 3 announced. I wrote, LOL, they're going to remaster Last of Us Part 2 again. A game that is 3 years old. So, sadly. I would kill for Uncharted 5 at this point. Like, literally anything else other than The Last of Us. Please. Starfield has a mixed release. Poor shelf sales, but everyone downloads it, and it's a repeat of Fallout 76 in that a very limited number of fans actually like it. The procedural generation is insanely glitchy, and it winds up being a games as a service style game, daily challenges, lots of in-game real money purchases, etc. I think that's
last part so far.
I think that's at least a half a point because I think it sold pretty well. Considering it was Game Pass day and date. It's always one of those things where it's like, you can get it as part of your Game Pass subscription, but it also sold just a bananas number of copies. But I think the Fallout 76 reception is also pretty accurate of just like, yeah, you put out something that is fun enough, but it's kind of has rough edges all over the place.
Yep.
So give me a half point for that, I think. Dragon Age Dreadwolf pushed to 2024. It comes to light BioWare's development habits of treating their employees' time poorly has not changed. Reference Blood, Sweat, and Pixels and that Kotaku article. There's still not a release date. We have seen more teaser footage and concept art of the new Mass Effect game than we have for the Dragon Age game that's been in development for like 7 years. So, yikes. Yeah. Jade Vengeance says, Suikoden HD remasters to release before Aiden Chronicle 100 Heroes. Spent a lot of time on Google for this one. Suikoden has been delayed into 2024. No more firm release date at the time of this recording. Aiden Chronicle 100 Heroes will be released April 23rd, 2024. So Suikoden will probably be released April 16th, 2024. So
maybe.
That's a prediction for you.
Yeah.
Tactics Ogre Reborn being released means Final Fantasy Tactics gets a remaster. No, because again, Square Enix doesn't like making money. You don't even have to remaster it. Just put it out on literally anything other than iOS and Android. Anything. What the hell? All right. Let's talk about our industry predictions for 2024. Moon, what do you have?
Skull and Bones is released.
Whoa. All right.
Just can't let it go, can you?
No. I need to get a point for it. I need at least 1 point for it in every category.
That's right.
You're in the same boat I am with achievements for Nintendo. It's like the one time you don't say it is when it's going to happen.
When it's going to happen. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. This is a fun one. Ubisoft cancels Beyond Good and Evil 2, the game that everybody forgot existed.
Ooh, all right. I forgot that existed. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. This is what happens when you listen to podcasts from 2017 when it was announced.
That's right.
Unions continue to build sway. So, there you go.
There you go.
And due, in part, because even more places continue to lay people off because we live in a late capitalistic nightmare.
Right.
Yep.
Sadly, yes.
Uh-huh.
Nimp, what are your predictions?
My predictions are companies are going to start using more AI, machine learning, whatever you want to call it, instead of labor, leading to further layoffs.
Boo hiss.
Yeah. My next one, which isn't doom and gloom, is Netflix will lead the charge for games on demand developing and streaming.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Because they surprisingly, if you open your Netflix app on your phone or just even look up Netflix on the internet, they surprisingly have their hands on a lot of video games right now.
They do, yeah. I opened it on my iPad the other day, and I hadn't opened it for a while. There's just a big ribbon of games. It's like, here you go. There's 30 games you can download as part of your subscription. It's like,
all because you have the regular subscription. So, and then my last one is the industry will start to slow down. I'm mostly referring to just releases because, 2023 was mostly due to COVID. You know, everything slowed down in 21, 22 because everyone started working remotely and they were trying to figure that out. 2023 happened to be the year of when those games were originally supposed to come out, got pushed back to here.
Oh, sure.
2024 is going to be kind of that inhale of, okay, we got all of the COVID games out. Now we can go back to, standard practices of releasing games.
All the dominoes stopped falling, and it's like, all right, now we can set up the next set.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Which I could use a break because there's still a lot of games I have not touched.
You see my list of cool games from 2023 I can't forget about. It's big. That's a lot of games. Yeah. All right, my prediction is I wrote E3 dies again finally this time ? I feel like every time E3 dies, it's like a comic book. like a B tier comic book hero. It's like every time they die and they come back, people are like, maybe I don't care as much this time. And they die again, and it's like, hey, maybe you could not be here anymore. I'd be fine. So, I think Embracer implodes, and the entire industry gets hit really hard in a really bad way. I think we saw a little bit of that with the deal falling through this year, but I think 2024, they are too big and too impactful and having enough trouble that I think there's some potential for some really bad stuff to happen if they continue to like Katamari roll up everything they can touch. So
I originally had almost the same prediction, not just for Embracer, but just the industry in general.
Yeah,
and that's what my industry slowdown turned into, because I didn't want to be whole negative,
right?
You know,
right. And I think on the back of the mass number of layoffs this year, like 2024 is the real unionization effort taking place of a lot of people either exiting the industry and starting up foundations to help get that get the unionization efforts across the finish line, or we see a lot of people get really impacted by these layoffs and get into another company, and a bunch of people being like, I'm not letting that happen again. Like, we are going to start our own company or make this company do this at some point. And I think the industry will be better for it overall.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Let's do community predictions here. Pharaoh Reigns says Skull and Bones will be delayed until 2025. Come on, man. Please don't. I've been predicting this game to come out for about 6 years. I have to buy it at some point and play it. It's probably not going to be good.
But the worst part is it's 3-player co-op, which means you know who else has to buy it.
That's right.
Not us, your Destiny group.
Oh, no. You tricked me. But yes, probably. I'll be spending like $210 on 3 copies of this thing. Like, please, somebody play with me. Please. Square Enix will announce the Final Fantasy VII Remake coming in Xbox. Like, literally any day they could, that would be super great.
Yeah, that's another one. I don't understand.
They just hate money. Square Enix is one of those companies where it's like, of course you're doing this, right? And they're like, we haven't even thought about it. It's like, yeah, wait, what? You're not. Okay, sure.
Because I'm wondering I wonder if Square ran into the same thing that Larian was running into with Baldur's Gate.
I mean, maybe.
Because that's the only, outside of that, like, they're almost identical machines.
Yeah.
Like, they're not that far different. Understanding from what I've heard, industry people talk about, the programming is not that much different from an Xbox to a PlayStation right now.
The only other thing that could be the excuse is Square folding their arms and just being like, I don't want to. Like a 5-year-old. It's like, can you put on your shoes? No, I don't want to. It's like, why not?
I mean, yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to go to the zoo. I love the animals. I'm not going to put on my shoes. Goodbye. It's like, okay, fair enough. And Ubisoft will delay Star Wars Outlaws Beyond summer 2024.
Oh, don't do this to me.
I mean, we haven't heard too much about that.
Dude, all we've got is a the CGI trailer. This is 1717 all over again.
But we've seen worse come out of better. So.
That's true. I'm hoping that once the holiday's over and we get kind of into the first quarter of the next year, then they start coming out with some stuff now that it's hopefully deep in development. Maybe. What do we have here? Torek00 says procedurally generated side quests are incorporated ... and universally panned for stilted or nonsensical content that is memed mercilessly. Also, can I just say memed mercilessly is an incredible pairing of words.
Write it down for show titles for the new year, Boston. Go ahead. Figure out somewhere where you can put it in.
I'm stealing that one. I mean, we've seen a little bit of this where it's like, hey, these are the quests I can make. And it's just like, wait, those 4 sentences that NPC said back to back are not related at all. What just happened? Like, yeah, they're words that are voice acted, but what happened here? You hire writers for a reason. man. So
yeah.
I don't know. It seems likely, unfortunately. Major studios adopt indie exploration of modern game design with low-resolution polygon or pixel graphics. We saw that with Dave the Diver a lot this year, which is like, and Nexon put out that game, and that looks like an indie game. But I'm curious to see how much this will happen, because we're kind of in the PS1 era of throwback graphics at the moment, especially what was that horror game we played on Signalis?
Yeah,
Signalis did really well this year, so I wonder if any larger publishers are going to take, beyond like Team 17 and larger indie publishers like that. See. Gaming journalism evolves to find new sustainable niches, but still struggle with the logistics of properly reviewing the deluge of first-party releases within profitable timeframes. I mean, yeah. you gotta hit the nail on the head for that one, of just like, this is an impossible. All right, where's my soapbox? Here it is. We're in an impossible problem where the internet is being poisoned by AI and machine learning. There are too many games that are coming out that publications want to cover, but are being published or being punished if you don't use the AI to talk about Breath of the Wild or Among Us for the 30th article per month. And then every giant publication that has purchased your small blog is running it into the ground, moving it over to a fandom blog, or firing everybody and expecting you to continue to still review games and release them and make a podcast and make video versions and. So I don't know, man. Like, the only people that are sustainable are like Remap or Aftermath or any of these companies like 404 Media that are reader supported, not on Patreon, and doing a great job at it. So like, that's...
But even then, there's only like so many of them that can be had at one time.
100%.
Because your readers only have so much money. Right. And a lot of readers...
Yeah.
I won't say double dip, but a lot of readers read different. Like I listen to Remap, I listen to Nextlander, and kind of stuff like that.
Yep.
I don't have enough money to give to them, kind of thing.
We should be giving it to us.
Yeah. So that's kind of the thing. It's like, that's going to hit a point where it's like, yeah, we have all these great journalists who I love, like Patrick.
Oh yeah,
Patrick seems to be a great guy.
Rob, yeah.
Jim or Gersman. Great guy.
Jeff Gersman, yeah.
Jeff, sorry, yeah. I knew it. When I said Jim, I was like, no, that's not right. But I mean, like, there's a lot of great people out there, but unfortunately, like, can't support all of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right, I'll put my soapbox down for a little bit. The Hannah predicts first major Game Pass competitor emerges. I would like that to happen, just so I could get more games that are quote unquote free. Like, I'm okay with spending. It would be great if it was Sony, because boy, that subscription costs a whole lot every year, and in the face of Game Pass is probably not worth the money that they're charging. So
I was gonna say, I think a full year for the premium was $159 a year.
So much money. That's so
much. But then again, and like I said, this is price comparison, and everyone, all these things work out differently for everyone. Like I was saying, with the Game Pass for $16.99 a month, that's about, I think it was like $203. So it is still technically cheaper than Game Pass, but again, it depends on what games you're looking for.
Right.
And PlayStation doesn't have day and date.
Right.
But you have the long catalog of PlayStation to go through.
Yeah.
So it's up to whatever you want to. Yeah.
Gearbox escapes Embracer's embrace, parenthetically sold or otherwise. I feel like if there's ever a publisher / developer that's going to escape that, it was probably going to be Gearbox, because they're kind of doing pretty well by themselves, especially now that they're publishing so many video games.
Take-Two will buy them. Don't worry.
Man, I would put money on that of just like, yep, Take-Two's scooping them up.
Take-Two are the people they have the strongest partnership with.
I was gonna say, I actually thought Take-Two already owned Gearbox.
They did until Embracer bought them.
Again.
Again. It'll just be like, oh, we're moving back into this. All right, we're coming back. Yeah. And then the layoffs will continue until morale improves. Parenthetically, it won't. So, I mean, I hope not, but yeah, I don't know. All right, before we get into games we're looking forward to in the next year, let's talk about the winner of Most Correctest of 2023. In third place, we have a tie between Kev, the Galaxy Bender, and Late Elf. Congratulations. Second place, Figaro Reigns. First place, Musum. Good job, Musum. Congratulations. Most Correctest 2023. We'll send you the crown.
I'll allow it.
In the mail.
I should veto him, but I'll allow it.
Yeah. Good job. Everybody did really well. Like this was like our third place people had 3 points, which is a pretty high score for a year. So
yeah,
congratulations to everybody. And thank you for sending your predictions for 2024. We greatly appreciate it. All right, let's talk about the games we're looking forward to in 2024. Speaking of the year, Moon, what you got?
Oh, okay. My list is so weird. Okay. Shadow of the Ninja Reborn. That was recently talked about. What people don't know is I played that game on the NES a lot when I was a kid. It is like core fundamental to me growing up playing video games is that game.
Mm-hmm.
So that is definitely, the remake is definitely something I'm looking forward to. Skull and Bones LOL is my specific note. I'm just curious at this point. Star Wars Outlaws, obviously, if it comes out, is one to look forward to. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, the 2D Metroidvania.
Yeah.
As Boston starts writing additions onto his list.
Yeah, no, that one looks cool. I think that I'm hoping that's gonna be a sleeper hit this year.
Me too. Stalker 2, because I still want to play. I want to really get into a Stalker game. I don't want to sit here and spend 4 hours putting mods onto the original Stalker game.
Right.
Just read the book for the first one.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is funny because I'm pretty sure the first book was written before the Chernobyl disaster, which is hilarious to me.
Goodness.
The book's pretty
which
good
is just
too.
Interesting foresight from the author. And my final two, because I'm weirdo, is Earth Defense Force 6.
Yeah.
Because it's been a long time since I've played an EDF game, and the EDF games are genuinely some of the best stupid fun I've played in my life.
Right.
And Princess Peach Showtime.
That game looks
What
cool,
is that
man.
game?
Yeah.
And why do I want to play it?
Yeah, that game looks cool.
Because it has dress spheres.
That's right.
That is true, it does.
Right. All right, Nimb, what do you have?
All right, first game I am looking forward to is Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak. This is supposed to be the continuation from Reverie, or after Reverie completes.
It's another year, so there's like 2 more Trails of Heroes games.
Yeah, Kurosaku 2 is supposed to be coming out sometime next year too, maybe. I don't know. I enjoy that we are getting these faster than we have before, but just slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, pace them a little bit.
Next one, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yep.
I just want to see what they are doing.
What are you going to do?
Because I know what is supposed to happen. I don't want to know that is going to happen. But watching
the most recent trailers, me like squinty-eyed, be like, "What are you doing? What are you doing over there?"
Was it's like, okay, are we getting hyped up because this is happening? We have to prepare ourselves, or is something else gonna happen?
Where are you gonna pull out the rug from under me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Star Wars Outlaws. I'm looking forward to when that ever comes out. The Star Wars Dark Forces remaster is supposed to get released next year.
Right. I loved Dark Forces.
So that'll be fun to check out. my love-hate relationship with Dragon's Dogma will continue because 2 is supposed to come out next year.
Maybe it'll be a love relationship this time.
I don't even so much hate the first one. Like, I still genuinely want to go back and start playing it again.
It's just so slow at the beginning.
I don't know. Yeah. But Suikoden in 1 and 2 HD remasters, if those come out, I'm looking forward to them. Followed with Aiden Chronicles.
Yep.
I mean, if those come out within a week of each other, that's gonna suck. So because they're gonna be so massive games. And my last one is Helldivers 2.
Oh yeah,
I had a ton of fun with that first game way back on the PS3.
Yeah. Or my number 1 is Skull and Bones with a question mark and an exclamation mark after it. We'll see what happens. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Just really looking forward to diving into one of those, hopefully around release, and then just squeezing every last drop of content out of that game. Except for Mahjong. I can't open that door. I can't do that to myself. That will be a problem. Persona 3 Reload comes out early in 2024. I think that's going to be
nice.
Really cool. I really love Persona 3. I'm very curious to see how they sand off the very rough edges of Persona 3, or if they don't, and they're like, hey man, this thing is hard. Buckle up.
As much as I hate that with Souls games, Persona 3 kind of, that one and Nocturne are like the two games that are like, no, those have to be hard.
Yeah, like you need to learn how to play this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, of course, especially after surprisingly falling in love with the first part of that. I will be getting that day one and trying to finish it before I get accidentally spoiled by something on some platform. Unicorn Overlord, that the new Vanillaware game that looks like a ogre battle, which is shocking. Which should be really great. Dragon's Dogma 2 for exactly the opposite reason that Nib did. I powered through enough of that game to be like, wait, this game is really good, and they're against all odds making another one, and it looks so good. I hope it has a better onboarding system than the first one. So, Destiny 2: The Final Shape ? Because
maybe
worried about that one. So we got a long couple of months until July. Yikes. Little Kitty Big City. That's that kind of 3D adventure game with that cute black cat that I feel like they've been developing for quite a long time. Looks like it's going to come out this year. Looks pretty cool. I'm excited for that. Plus it's cute. Saga Emerald Beyond. I'm one of those Saga sickos. So anytime a new impossible to decipher, incredibly hard, probably can't be finishable Saga game comes out, I'm like lined up for someone to punch me in the face repeatedly. So that's Saga, baby. Like, that's me. The Plucky Squire. That's that animated game that starts out as you kind of like going around circular things. It's a 2D platformer game. And then it breaks out into this overhead, almost kind of Zelda game that looks like it's animated, but also kind of claymation sort of thing. If you've seen any GIFs of it, you'll know it right away. Put a question mark after this one. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2? Question mark? Are we...
That didn't make my list because I don't believe it's ever going to come out.
Yeah, like, is this the year now that we have another developer? Question mark? It'd be nice. They just put out their blog post of like, here's our 4th playable clan. It's like, great. When is it happening? I don't know. And my last one here, definitely with the largest question mark you can put after it. Silk Song? Question mark? Because, man, I don't know. The only release date I can see for Silk Song is like, it's out today. Like
that just reminds me of the image I sent you, Joe, after the Game Awards.
Yeah, of just the main character from Hollow Knight sitting on the bench with a clown wig on and the paint. Yeah, that's me.
And it was titled like me waiting for Silk Song news at the Game Awards.
Yep, it's me. That's me. All right, well, Now that we've crossed the contractually obligated 2-hour mark, that's a joke. That's not. We just do that every time. That means we can wrap this up. Again, thank you very much, everyone. 2023 was a great year for game releases, but especially for the show. We had a blast. Happy to see so many new listeners. We're happy to have you all listening with us. We're happy to be on vacation right now because we're doing a gauntlet until we are at that point. And we'll be back next week with our first episode of the brand new year. Thank you again. And we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye. Nap time.
Yeah, bye.